The entire marketing behind Postal 2 is that the game is as violent as you are. You are under full control of the Postal Dude and his actions. Whether he pays for the carton of goat milk, or completely domes in the cashier's head is up to you. If you really wanted to, you can beat the whole game without harming a single soul. And that's exactly what I did.
Now you may be thinking, this doesn't seem that bad. Which, on paper, you'd be correct, which is why I'm deciding to up the ante a little bit.
I played the game on one of the hardest difficulties available, the Postal difficulty.
Now again, you might be thinking, oh, Artrix, why didn't you just ball up top and choose the hardest difficulty, Ludicrous? Yeah, I think I'd rather kill myself. It's also worth noting that this run will be entirely glitchless, meaning no, obviously glitches, no skips or sequence breaks will be used during this run.
But with that being said, I think it's time to enter the town of paradise once more and post all...
Yeah, I need to rework that.
Monday. The birds are chirping, the dog is shitting, and the Postal Dude is off to complete his first set of chores for the week.
I'm assuming anybody who's watching this has at least played Postal 2 before, but if you haven't, here's the general gameplay loop. Each day of the week, you're given a different set of chores to complete, and each different chore has you going to a different point across the map to complete. That spans across all 5 days of the week, Monday through Friday. That's pretty much the whole gist.
Monday's chores are as follows. Purchase or steal some of the goat's milk from the Lucky Ganesh corner store, pick up your check at the Running with Scissors headquarters where Postal Dude canonically works, and go deposit said check at the bank. Or steal. Each of these tasks can be completed in any order, so I decided to complete them in the order they were given to me.
Was that a suboptimal choice? Yes it was. Oh my god, yes it was.
Immediately upon starting, I noticed how difficult this would be from the get-go. While playing on Postal difficulty, every single NPC around you, whether they would be hostile in normal play or not, is now always hostile. They will stop dead in their tracks, stare you down, then immediately start gunning you down upon seeing you. This makes things especially difficult when you realize people like Habib are affected by this change. You know, Habib, the cashier at the Lucky Ganesh.
Yeah, it turns out being a pacifist doesn't always mean you have to do the morally correct thing. Meaning, in most cases, I'm gonna have to take the postal route, but without killing anybody. Which you can already kind of assume how insane a route about killing without killing anybody sounds. But anyway, about the hostility issue. Turns out there actually is one way to negate this. This will make sense.
Turns out that the only weapon I'll be needing in this run is my trusty bird, because for some reason, flipping off any NPC has seemingly a 50-50 chance of whether or not they'll laugh or immediately arm themselves and charge at you. This middle finger can be the deciding factor of a tight situation, assuming you hit a successful coin flip. Now that I've got that out of the way, due to the NPC situation, I literally can't pay for the goat's milk. So after grabbing it and marking that chore as complete, I then ran back to the back of the store where infidels are not allowed. In the back, several female terrorists swarmed towards me and immediately fired at me. This seems pretty helpless, but luckily around one of the corners, there are 2 medkits hanging up on the wall. These medkits healed enough of my HP to just barely squeeze past the girls and jump out the window, where a health pipe is just chilling on the side outside the store.
The health pipe on the postal difficulty acts exactly the same as a med kit, meaning instead of giving you 125 health, it only gives you 30. And it's also worth noting as well that you can't pick up health items like you can in normal gameplay. They get immediately added to your health and you are not able to store them in your inventory like normal.
Now, the normal route for getting inside the Running with Scissors office is to run past the protesters outside and go in through the front entrance. But if you haven't guessed by now, on this difficulty, everyone will instantly gun me down. So I had to think of a different play. I found out that going through this pathway and around this house leads to an alternate route behind the RWS office, which avoids all of the protesters. So I decided to take this route. This is the real first instance of the middle finger roulette coming into play here. There are several civilians and police officers perusing the area, so I have to hit many 50-50s in order to get past relatively safely. Upon arriving at the RWS office, I pick up my check, only for Vince Desi himself to immediately aggro onto me as well. And with the parade of protesters running in from the front, the back seemed like the best exit as well. That voice crack was horrendous. Oh my god.
The final chore on Monday is depositing your check into the bank. Steal the money from the bank. You have to steal it. You gotta steal it.
The easiest way I found to do this is just to beeline it straight to the vault, and after the cutscene ends, I would kick the far left bookcase to open up a secret sewer pathway, which would lead me to a relatively safe exit.
This exit strategy honestly worked really well, and yeah, that's Monday done. This looks like it's gonna be a lot easier than I thought it was. Oh dear God. Oh dear God, no. No.
Tuesday. The birds is chirping. The dice is shitting again. I just assumed that the day would be just as easy as the last.
Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. Where was I?
Now I assumed Tuesday would be just as easy as the last day was. The chore seemed rather tame. Return the book to the library, get the signed book from Gary Coleman, and go to the church to repent your sins. Oh, right. I wasn't worried about the first two chores at all, especially since the petition chore is not present on this difficulty. But the church, I could already tell, was going to be a nightmare. But that'll come later. Because for now, it's time to burn some books. The library was honestly super simple. I would return the book, sit through this damn cutscene every single time because I forgot the quick save every single time, rush up the stairs and skip the first protesters by just narrowly dodging their attack triggers, and then pick up the bulletproof vest and shotgun.
Now, in my earlier attempts, I completed the full route of the library, completing all of the upstairs and all of the downstairs. But then I later discovered that you can just jump over the ledge where you grab the bulletproof vest and just make it down to the bottom floor completely safe. Like, this isn't a glitch, technically. Like, I'm gonna use this. It's clearly there for a reason.
Next, I decided to book it straight to Gary Coleman. Get it? Book? After all I had to do was just get the book signature, right? Shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, remember when I had to steal the goat milk because Habib, the cashier, does not like me? Yeah, newsflash, the same applies to...
This was the first major hurdle in the entire playthrough. How was I supposed to get the book from Gary? Like, literally the only pacifist option is impossible in this difficulty. I can't wait in line to get the book because everyone in the line, as well as Gary and his security, will start shooting at me.
The game constantly keeps tabs of how many kills you have enacted in your playthrough. If this number ever goes higher than 0, I have to reload my save to continue, or else the pacifist run just will not...
But yeah, I tried everything I could think of and just couldn't get this damn book without killing him. I was genuinely stumped. Not to mention that this wasn't even the last chore of the day either.
I got stuck on this single chore for way longer than I'm proud to admit. And something else I'm not proud to admit is that I committed the biggest sin in all of gaming during this single chore. I looked up a guide.
And throughout all of my searching, I found exactly one lead. One Steam guide post that could potentially have my solution. However, remember that catnip we picked up at the library? It will be our ace up the sleeve in this section. Catnip. That was the solution this whole time.
Okay, that's obviously not the solution, but that did spark an idea in my brain. Earlier on Monday, I picked up a can of catnip next to the fire in the hole club, I think. Club? That is a club, right? That's a club?
So I got to experimenting and ultimately came up with a plan. I would enter the mall where good old Gare Bear is stationed, I would pop the catnip and jump off the balcony above, where I would land next to Gary and shoot him in the head with a shotgun at close range 5 times. Then I would duck behind him until one of the NPCs around him hits a shot and kills Gary for me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very pacifist, does it? At the end of the day, it only matters about the scoreboard. It doesn't matter how many fucking people I shoot. It only matters if I am credited with the kill. So, in this case, I take this as a win. Still not pacifist, though.
After Gary gets capped by one of his own cronies, I escaped the mall and headed towards the church, where more bullet dodging and bird roulette occurred. Once arriving at the church, I felt immense dread weighing over me because I knew the hardest part of the entire run had just begun.
Once again, on paper, this really doesn't seem that bad. Especially when you consider that the priests are the only NPCs in the entire game on Postal difficulty that don't immediately aggro on you. Meaning that this is technically the only chore in the entire game that can be completed on the pacifist route.
Once navigating my way through the church, I approached the line for the confessional booth, which, yeah, I did try waiting in, you can guess how that went. In order for the priest here to tell me not to book it to the back of the line, I had to herd the entirety of the line around the corner, which worked with varying levels of success.
After receiving credit for completing the chore, though, the Taliban invade the church, and it leaves me with 2 exit options, as they flood the entire church.
Either backtrack through the way that I came in, through the altar, down the stairs, into the lobby, or the alternative route of going to the right and traversing through this game's equivalent of the Normandy landing. I was pretty much sandwiched in between two constant pushes of Taliban forces on both sides. And this isn't even accounting for the several terrorists outside in the main garden complex as well, right next to the door to leave.
Can you guess what I spent the next damn hour doing?
This church section had me practicing Einstein's definition of insanity for a whole ass hour, running through the narrowly closing doors of the cathedral while the dissonant ringing of the same bell melody loops on repeat, as every time I fail, I rise again anew as if the Lord overseeing this secluded Arizona town purposefully places me back before the chaos falls again. As if it's for his personal enjoyment watching my eternal hell.
Yeah, I made it out alive. Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea what happened there. Like, it felt like I got taken over by some, like, otherworldly...
Proceed with your journey, my child.
I need to start taking schizophrenia medication.
Wednesday, okay, piss on dad, vote, and get the Christmas tree. I decided to go vote first because it was the closest to my current location.
And no, I'm not telling you who I voted for. I voted for...
This was probably the easiest chore in the game so far. I mean, same with the Christmas tree, to be honest.
I was expecting this chore to be really hard, but it turns out that just scaling the side of a mountain piece of your style and beelining straight to the exit near the police station net me this attempt first try. Like, I genuinely don't know how that worked out.
All that's left now is to piss on dad at the cemetery.
Yeah, that sounds easy enough. Who the hell are you people?
If you thought the church was bad, get ready for... Upon waking up in the brewery, gimped up, I'm sorry, wow.
I fucked that, bro, damn.
The brewery doesn't sound that hard on paper, but when you realize the sheer amount of armed rednecks actively scanning the area, it becomes a living nightmare to even make a dent of progress, especially this section right here, with these 3 machinery parts you have to traverse underneath.
This doesn't sound that bad on paper, until you realize that this is the only point in the entire game where it mandatorily autosaves.
This severely fucked up several attempts, because even though there are 3 med packs on the wall right here just in case you get hurt, the checkpoint seems to activate completely randomly, and the rednecks shooting you instantly upon restarting. Even then, after this section, there are way too many rednecks blocking the path to even consider weaving through all the bullets. So I was stumped. I didn't have any catnip to cheese my way through the brewery either, so I was completely stuck. Until I found this catnip in the room right as I went up the stairs. Oh my god.
Even with this new ace up my sleeve, this still wasn't gonna be easy. I needed to get really, really lucky if I wanted to make it out of here unscathed.
And it did come close a few times. One time right before the exit in the very last door. This one pissed me off so badly, you have no idea. I had already spent 30 minutes here at this point.
But finally, after enough trial and error, I am finally free, gimped up in the new free world. I should go do the laundry.
It's pretty much backtracking all the way to the voting chore once again, because the laundromat is right across from that building. After respectfully paying for my dry cleaning, I booked it back to the trailer and officially concluded Wednesday. Oh, sorry, I got hungry. All right, napalm, crotchy, steaks, and ticket. Got it? Got it?
After literally no time of thinking at all, I decided that the best course of action would be to get the steaks first, because literally right down the road is the police station. I could just knock these 2 quests out pretty quickly. They didn't happen pretty quickly.
After scouring the land to find the best path without getting gunned down immediately, I entered the butchery inhabits an entire army of butchers parading every room, blocking every path you need to take.
And if you haven't guessed by now, they're all armed, and I am not armed. How the hell am I supposed to get past this? Like, this is one of those few chores that I thought this would be impossible when I first started this challenge.
I started out by seeing how far I can make it with the resources that I currently had, which was nothing. And as expected, I didn't make it very far at all. I tried speeding through every corridor, weaving through bullets, but no matter what I tried, I would always get gunned down before I could even get to the stakes. And on the attempts that I did get the stakes during, I'd be on too low of HP to even progress and just get gunned down by the tactical enforcers that entered the premises.
That was until I noticed something revolutionary that can completely change the course of action of this section. It was right there the whole time!
Yeah, you can see where this is going. I would progress fully through the butchery until right after the overseer's room, where I would then pop the catnip, grab the med pack on the wall because holy shit, 4 health, and then I would grab the stakes and use the remaining duration of the catnip's effects to hopefully squeeze through the rest of the guards. Hopefully. After a few more minutes of attempts, I finally managed to squeeze past the last guard and continued onward towards the... Where I paid for my parking ticket. Where does this keep coming from?
If you've been paying attention at all throughout the course of this video, first of all, hi! Thank you so much for watching it this far. It really means a lot. If you are enjoying the video so far, make sure to join my Discord server. That is going to be public for the first time, so feel free to join that up. Link in the description. And second of all, I can't pay for it because of the postal difficulty!
Trust me, I tried paying for the ticket, but the officer manning the reception desk immediately aggroed onto me. So once again, I was left with the criminal option of breaking into the police station and navigating all the way up to the 3rd floor where the ticket drop-off box is, and navigate all the way back down through the way I came until eventually exiting the police station. And that's assuming the drop-off box even works!
And that's the plan. Other than that, it's just about weaving through bullets and a shit ton of RNG.
And so it began. Death after death, officer after officer. I bashed my head into a wall for roughly 25 minutes before finally busting through that wall, Kool-Aid Man style, making it out alive.
I know that doesn't sound like a crazy amount of time, but when you've been bashing your head up against 5 other brick walls through the entirety of a 5-hour session, it really starts to warp your perception of time a little bit.
Anyways, I decided to tackle collecting the napalm next, which immediately presented issues as well. Not only were there cops as soon as I entered the factory, but guess what? I couldn't pay because of the difficulty. But the scientist guarding the napalm launcher also decided to be extra.
But the biggest issue by far was actually just remembering where to go after grabbing the napalm. Me being the apparent dumbass that I am, I completely forgot the route to go, so I ended up just toodly doing around the factory and killing myself over and over before finally remembering where to go.
Once I actually remembered how to play the game and use my fingers to press the keys, it was pretty straightforward. I was expecting oh my god. I was expecting this to be super rough, but once I actually got past the initial hurdle, it was pretty easy. Last up was grabbing the crotchy doll from the mall, which was also surprisingly simple. Before entering the store, I went to the cafeteria and refilled my health, as well as finding a stray catnip. So I ended up first trying crotchy. Okay, after I died once, but without preparation. In normal gameplay, he acts as a boss fight that repeatedly fires rocket ammo at you. But while the catnip is active, you can just waltz on by and leave the mall to finish the day, leaving only Friday left in my way.
One day left. Final stretch.
Get alternator, pick a package, and give Uncle Dave a birthday gift. I decided to deliver the gift to Uncle Dave first, since I assumed it would be the easiest to get out of the way.
Because not only is it the hardest task of the day, but it's also the farthest away.
So I headed off towards Uncle Dave's church. Getting into the church was surprisingly simple. Just drop through the roof and give Dave the gift, assuming you don't get set to flames. Getting out wasn't super hard, but it definitely gave me some trouble, especially when eventually making out, my game decided to crash in the exit load, so I had to do it again. Only for me to accidentally find a super consistent out of bounds glitch. Once again, making me do it again because I forgot to save.
It really wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be. Really just a bunch of shit out of my control, preventing me from progressing. But now onto the alternator.
The alternator chore was honestly one of the easiest in the whole challenge, and I did it. Second try. Literally all I had to do was just grab the alternator and avoid the dogs and the crusher.
But now, all that's left was the... Yeah, put some text over my face. I'm Matt Damon.
The parcel center wasn't necessarily hard, but I'll add it as an obstacle just because it probably would have been the hardest one if I didn't completely cheese it. I, once again, was forced to take the bad route and steal the package, which causes the horde of postal workers to come out and attack me. You think you're funny, don't you? At the end of the path, it leads to the main storage room, which acts as a labyrinth of sorts, but you can just completely skip it by climbing up the boxes and onto the shelf. This isn't a glitch, so I just climbed over and ran out of the parcel center.
I am now in the end game, the final stretch. And by that I mean just beeline it to the trailer and the game's over, which is exactly what I did. And I'm sorry that I'm not explaining this very much, but if you want me to explain the various breeds of cats falling through the sky, I can make an entire video dedicated to just this. Now, very astute Postal fans may be wondering, hey, you forgot to do the gonorrhea task that you unlock after pissing. No, I didn't.
And just like that, the run is done. I've basically completed the entirety of Postal 2 on one of the hardest difficulties without harming a single soul. Damn it!
So, what's the takeaway from all this? Well, my takeaway was that this is the best way to play the game by far. This was fun.
I don't know what about it made it so much more enjoyable, but for some reason, I had the most fun I'd ever had playing this game during this challenge. The added stress of minimal HP and constant gunfires, knowing I couldn't fire back, added a lot of stakes in an otherwise stakeless game. The added challenge and puzzle solving from the combination of the pacifist playstyle and the higher difficulty really add an element of gameplay that I haven't really experienced in a game before until now.
You may also be wondering, you didn't kill anybody, but how many times did you get killed? Well, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed my 7 hours of suffering condensed down into a college essay of a video. This was the most fun I've ever had making a video like this, and I plan on making a lot more like this in the future. Especially since Postal 2's DLC, Paradise Lost, is also able to be completed pacifist. So let me know if you want to see that.
And before anyone asks, yes, you can technically beat Apocalypse Weekend Pacifist, but I don't want to because it sucks and there's no achievement, so fuck off, bye.